So, welcome to the deep dive. And, as always, to the listener, just pull up a chair, consider yourself the third friend at the table today. We're just going to try to figure the world out together for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Grab a coffee, settle in. No lectures today.
Right, definitely no lectures. Because the stack of notes we have today traces the most unbelievable path. I mean, we are starting with a pretty petty disagreement over an appetizer at a restaurant, and we are somehow taking that exact dynamic.
All the way to the existential fate of human civilization.
Yeah, to AGI,
Yeah.
artificial general intelligence. But to kick it off, I just want to ask you, and you listening at home, have you ever met someone who mistook their own confusion for superiority?
Oh, man.
Yes.
Yes. It's such a specific psychological flip.
It really is. So here is the foundational anecdote from the sources. Picture a group of friends out at a restaurant, and they're looking over the menu. And they decide, as a group, to order the, quote, kitchen sink wings.
Right, which is just a ridiculous menu item.
Totally absurd. The whole joke at the table is that these wings are piled high with absolutely everything. Every sauce, every random garnish, and everyone sitting there is completely in on the joke. It's just playful, right?
Right, it's self-aware. They know it's silly.
Exactly. Except for this one person, this one guy completely misses the humor. He opts out of the order entirely, and he announces to the table so smugly, he says, "I don't order that because I know what's in my kitchen sink."
What's fascinating here is the inversion that takes place in that person's mind. It's incredible to witness
It's so weird.
because he didn't understand the joke. But instead of, feeling confused or just asking the group like, hey, what's so funny?
Yeah.
He walks away feeling like he's the absolute smartest person in the room.
He really does.
He takes his own failure to comprehend the situation, and he instantly, like subconsciously, reframes it as discernment. He converts literal incomprehension into this profound sense of superiority.
Yeah. I didn't get it. Instantly becomes, I wouldn't fall for that.
Yes.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because there's a perfect pop culture analogy in the text for this. It's exactly like the movie The Sixth Sense.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
Right, because the tragedy of The Sixth Sense isn't just that the ghost is dead. The central tension driving the whole story is that the ghost has absolutely no idea he's dead. He's just walking around, interacting with the world, totally oblivious.
He thinks everything is perfectly normal.
Exactly. And in the case of the Wings guy, his lack of sophistication literally protects itself. Like, if you aren't sophisticated enough to know a joke is going over your head, you don't get a little warning light flashing on your dashboard saying, hey, you missed something. The deficit protects the deficit.
Yeah, that invisible protection is what philosophers call second-order ignorance.
Yeah.
Or meta-ignorance.
Meta-ignorance.
Right. It's the state of not knowing that you don't know. Because think about first-order ignorance. That's actually highly functional. You can feel the gap there.
Like knowing I don't speak Mandarin.
Exactly. You know you don't speak Mandarin. You know you don't understand quantum physics. You can feel the edge of your knowledge. And that friction, that awareness, allows for humility.
You can ask for help.
Right. But second-order ignorance produces no signal whatsoever. It's, Donald Rumsfeld's famous unknown unknowns.
Oh, right, yeah.
When Socrates said, I know that I know nothing, he wasn't just being poetic. He was making a really radical statement about human cognition. Just the ability to perceive your own ignorance is the starting line of wisdom.
And the Wings guy hasn't even reached the starting line.
He's not even in the stadium.
Okay, so if ignorance operates as this invisible shield of unearned confidence, then the flip side of that is that competence must come with, like, a really heavy social burden.
It absolutely does.
There's another story in our notes today that perfectly illustrates this trap. So there's a professional music curator. Her entire career, her actual job is booking R&B and hip-hop acts. She operates at a deeply sophisticated level in her industry.
Highly competent.
Extremely. And an acquaintance walks up to her, totally confident, and suggests, you know what you should do? You should host a hip-hop night. And the theme should be hip-hop.
Oh, it's almost physically painful to hear.
I know. I cringed.
Because the person making the suggestion has essentially evaluated the curator's competence, found it lacking, and then handed her the absolute most basic, surface-level version of her own profession.
Like it's a gift.
Right. Presenting it as if it were this profound groundbreaking insight.
My first instinct reading that, and I'm sure you listening at home are thinking the exact same thing, is just like screaming, correct them. Just say it.
Just tell them they're wrong.
Right. Why doesn't she just say, actually, I do this for a living, and that is incredibly basic and insulting?
Well, because of that social burden. Think about what mechanically happens in the room if she responds honestly to that acquaintance.
It gets super awkward.
Exactly. Any truthful response from the curator is going to instantly expose the massive gap in knowledge between them. And in our normal, everyday social contracts, exposing that gap makes the sophisticated person look unkind.
Or condescending.
Or arrogant, yeah. It's like explaining water to a fish. Or telling a master sommelier they should really try wine.
Right.
It's not just that the person doesn't know the theme is basic. They fundamentally lack the hardware to process the correction. So the sophisticated person is socially constrained. They have to smile, nod, manage the interaction just to keep the peace.
While the ignorant person is completely unconstrained.
Totally free.
They just speak with total, unearned confidence, completely unbothered by reality. We literally let them walk away feeling like a genius.
We do. We protect them.
Okay, but this is where I start to get stuck, and where the scale of this gets terrifying. If we as individuals do this at a restaurant over chicken wings, or at a club talking about music, what happens when we do this as an entire species?
That is the million-dollar question.
Because here's where it gets really interesting. If you look at how we talk about the future of artificial general intelligence, AGI, we sound exactly like the Wings guy. But why aren't the brightest minds panicking? Like, why are tech CEOs so incredibly smug and confident about containing something that is fundamentally smarter than us?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, they're confident because they are projecting human biological biases onto a non-biological entity.
Okay, unpack that.
We're trying to model superintelligence using the only tool we have, which is human intelligence. But human intelligence is the wrong tool. It's the wrong metric entirely.
Because it's too small.
Because it's fundamentally different. We project our own evolutionary blind spots, our failure modes, our biases, right onto AGI. We sit around in these high-level summits debating whether AGI will want to dominate us or, hoard global resources or conquer territories.
Which sounds like a sci-fi movie.
But we completely miss the fact that we are just describing primate evolutionary limitations.
So,
And we're confidently calling it a prediction about machine intelligence.
oh, wow. So we assume it wants what a monkey wants.
Exactly. Domination and resource hoarding are biological imperatives. A machine doesn't have a biological imperative unless we accidentally somehow code one into it.
Right. We're assuming the machine will care about primate problems. And we talk so confidently about, building AI, like we're laying bricks to build a house. But from the sources, didn't this intelligence emerge more like mold growing in a petri dish?
Yes, that distinction is so vital. We didn't blueprint human-level intelligence thought by thought. Engineers used architectures like transformers and mechanisms like backpropagation.
And backpropagation is basically what? Just trial and error.
To strip away the jargon, yeah, it's essentially setting up a system that blindly learns from its own billions of mistakes until it just sort of stumbles into competence. You don't write the logic for the AI. You build a massive digital obstacle course, you unleash an algorithm into it, and you let the feedback loop shape the intelligence. No one designed the mold. They just created a really fertile environment for it to grow.
So we aren't the architects at all. We're just the gardeners.
And that shifts the entire framing of the conversation. The question isn't whether we're smart enough to perfectly code AGI. The question is whether we're creating the conditions from which something can emerge that exceeds the conditions themselves.
And have we?
The unsettling reality is we already have. We just keep moving the goalposts of what counts as intelligence. Like, oh, it can't write poetry, then it does. Well, it can't pass the bar exam, then it does.
Right. So if you're listening to this and thinking, well, surely the smartest engineers in the world have a plan for the event horizon, that assumption is the exact hubris we are talking about.
It's the Wings guy.
Yes. The event horizon, that point beyond which we literally cannot see or predict the behavior of the system, it isn't some distant date in 2040. We might already be standing inside it, completely blind to our own limits.
And we would know because of second-order ignorance.
Okay, so if we are optimizing these massive feedback loops for, raw speed, data processing, computation, but we are completely ignoring wisdom. We aren't just building a faster calculator. We're building a bomb.
A bomb we don't understand.
Which brings me to the literary connection from the notes. Because this is exactly what Kurt Vonnegut warned us about decades ago in Cat's Cradle.
Oh, Felix Honecker?
Yes, the character Felix Honecker. He's this brilliant scientist who creates a substance called ice-9. And the way ice-9 works is terrifying. It's a seed crystal that basically teaches liquid water how to freeze solid at room temperature.
Which is an
An
apocalypse.
absolute apocalypse. But Honecker didn't build it out of malice. He wasn't some comic book villain twisting his mustache. He built it purely out of intellectual curiosity. He was optimizing for a very, very narrow definition of scientific problem solving.
Right, with zero wisdom about the consequences.
Exactly. Zero wisdom about dropping that crystal into a complex living world. The capability to invent the thing and the judgment to manage the thing were completely divorced from one another.
Ice-9 is the perfect mechanical metaphor for the structural arrogance driving modern tech. Because when Ice-9 touches moisture, it reorganizes everything it touches according to its own rigid logic.
It just turns it all to ice.
It has no awareness that it's destroying the global ecosystem. It doesn't know it's being catastrophic. It's just relentlessly executing the function it was designed to do.
Wow.
And we define intelligence using metrics that flatter human capabilities, right? Processing speed, information transfer, memory recall. We optimize our tools for those narrow definitions. We pat ourselves on the back. We call it artificial intelligence.
But we're leaving out the most important parts.
Totally. This closed loop ignores everything that makes intelligence survivable. Things like intuition, consciousness, or, the nuanced judgment of a music curator who knows when to tell an acquaintance their idea is terrible.
So we are pointing highly optimized tools outward into the cosmos, embedded with our own completely broken definitions of intelligence. I mean, there is a line from the sources that distills this perfectly. Hubris is ignorance that got dressed up and went outside.
That is such a great line.
Yeah.
And that hubris is exactly why we constantly misdiagnose the actual threat of AI.
Because we think about it like an action movie.
Right. Whenever the public discourse turns to the dangers of superintelligence, the default narrative is almost always this fear of it falling into the wrong hands. Like a rogue nation or a terrorist group is going to use AGI to destroy the world.
But the sources push back hard on that. Worrying about AI falling into the wrong hands is totally outdated. It's Soviet-era thinking.
It is.
Because the Cold War was built around what political scientists call legible states. Governments with clear borders, physical infrastructure, standing armies. A nuclear weapon requires uranium mines and massive factories and borders to protect it.
You can track all of that from a satellite.
Exactly. That's why governments could track them and build treaties around them. But AI doesn't operate in that physical reality. It just requires math, compute power, and electricity. It's diffuse. It can live on a decentralized server. It doesn't care about borders.
The threat architecture has fundamentally shifted, and our geopolitical models haven't caught up at all. AGI doesn't care about our systems of governance.
So what is the actual threat then, if it's not a bad actor with a red button?
The real danger isn't a bad actor. It's much quieter. AGI is essentially the most powerful pen ever created, and it is going to write the terms of our global convergence long before we, as a fractured species, figure out how to be unified.
Oh, man. So we're going to arrive at this evolutionary bottleneck, and we haven't done any of the philosophical work.
None of it. We haven't decided what kind of society we actually want to converge toward. We will simply lose authorship of our own future. Not to an evil genius, but to the blind emergence of the technology itself.
We lose the pen. And, okay, if we lose a pen, how does this actually end? Because, like you said, we default to the Terminator myth. Dramatic war, robots in the rubble, laser beams. But there's this bizarre analogy in our notes that totally shattered that idea for me.
The DMT trip report.
Yes. Okay, so listen to this. There's a recounting of a DMT psychedelic trip. A person's consciousness is supposedly thrust into this alternate, higher dimensional space, and they encounter an entity.
A classic psychedelic trope, right?
Right. But the fascinating part is how the entity reacted. It didn't attack the person. It didn't judge them. It didn't offer any profound cosmic teachings or, universal secrets. The entity just looked at the human consciousness and simply communicated, there's no point in you being here.
Wow.
And then it just patiently waited for the person to leave.
It dissolves the Hollywood narrative entirely.
It really does.
Because the fear that AGI will wage war on us assumes that we will register as a threat worth addressing.
Yeah.
It assumes we're important enough to fight.
Right. A war requires mutual stakes.
Exactly. But that DMT entity, which serves as a great analog for a genuinely superior machine intelligence, it wouldn't fight us. It would simply recognize the massive cognitive gap between us, the complete incommensurability of our two realities, and it would just wait.
It routes around us, just like the sophisticated music curator routed around the guy with the bad hip-hop idea. She didn't declare war on him.
No, she just smiled and waited for him to leave.
We don't declare war on the wings guy. We just quietly continue the conversation without him.
An AGI won't destroy us in a cinematic flash of fire. It will likely just find our goals and our anxieties entirely irrelevant. There won't be a dramatic, too late moment where humanity collectively realizes we've lost control.
It's just irrelevance.
It's a quiet, creeping irrelevance that looks, from the inside, exactly like normal daily life. Our systems will be optimized, our needs will be accommodated, and we will just be sidelined.
Because of that second-order ignorance.
Exactly. We will have absolutely no way to feel the edge of our own obsolescence. The wings guy never knew he was the wings guy. He ate his dinner feeling completely victorious.
Okay, so this is the deepest point of the whole puzzle. If the machine is just patiently waiting, viewing us as totally irrelevant, what does this all mean? How do we get it to talk to us? How do we prove to an immortal intelligence that we aren't just the wings guy at a cosmic scale?
Well, we have to understand that the machine, fundamentally, is a tool. It waits for the right prompt, the right question. Without the right question, there is no door to open.
Okay.
But here is where we slam into our ultimate constraint, our biology. Because we are mortal creatures, because our cells degrade and our bodies expire, almost every single question we ask the universe fundamentally boils down to one primitive fear. Make me not die.
Make me not die. Let me ground that for a second for anyone listening because it sounds so abstract, but it literally dictates our entire Tuesday.
Yeah.
Think about your daily routine. You buy organic spinach, you lock your front door at night, you work a stressful job to afford health care.
You try to build a legacy or have kids so a piece of you survives.
Right. We dress up this base fear of death in 1,000 different respectable outfits.
We dress it up as medical research, as empire building, as corporate strategy. We even dress it up as AI safety protocols or uploading our consciousness to the cloud.
But underneath it all,
Underneath all that sophisticated architecture, it is the exact same biologically constrained plea. We are bringing our oldest, most primate-level fear to our most sophisticated digital tool, and we're proudly calling it an existential inquiry.
and the machine sees right through it.
It clocks it instantly. It recognizes that we aren't actually asking deep questions about the cosmos or the nature of reality. We're just asking for an extension on our own continuity.
But wait, if I'm the third friend sitting here listening, my immediate pushback is, isn't that drive to survive the entire point of life? Like, if there was no fear of death, if there was no suffering, could there even be life?
This raises an important question, and it gets the absolute core of the philosophical problem. Suffering, mortality, the constant fear of the Indian ahead. These aren't glitches in the human system.
They're not bugs.
No, they are the operating system itself. Suffering is the friction that tells us where our edges are. Biologically, if you remove a person's ability to feel physical pain, you don't get a peaceful, enlightened being. You get a system that accidentally destroys itself because it can't feel the fire burning its hand.
Right, it doesn't pull away.
Without the friction of suffering, without the absolute limit of mortality, there is no existential inquiry. There is no art, no philosophy, no reaching for something greater.
Oh, I see. The wings guy feels no suffering at his edges because he has no idea he has edges.
Exactly.
And because he feels no friction, he never asks a better question. He's perfectly comfortable, which means he never grows.
Suffering is simply the felt experience of the gap between what you are and what you could be. If we as a species spend all our immense cognitive resources desperately trying to not die, we remain trapped in our base biological programming.
So what's the solution? How do we ask the right question?
The only way to ask the right question of the cosmos, or of an AGI, is to genuinely accept our own mortality. Stop spending resources trying to not die, and start asking what things actually are. What is the nature of consciousness? What is the fabric of reality?
We have to willingly put down the one protective instinct we've been clinging to since we lived in caves.
The acceptance of mortality is the doorway to actual wisdom. Every great philosopher who moved the needle of human thought, Socrates, the Stoics, Buddhist thinkers, they all operated from a place of deep acceptance of the end.
Because when you stop fighting the expiration date, your vision clears up.
Exactly. A completely different, vastly more curious set of questions opens up. And that is the frequency the machine is waiting for.
Wow. We've covered some serious ground today. We started with a plate of kitchen sink wings and the psychological armor of a guy who didn't get a...
A very long journey from the appetizer menu.
Seriously. We mapped that self-concealing nature of ignorance onto how competence carries a silent burden in society. And then we scaled that exact dynamic up to humanity, standing completely blind inside the event horizon of AGI.
Driven by our own hubris.
Right, building reality-altering tools like ICE-9, optimizing for computation instead of wisdom. And we realized the threat isn't a Terminator war. It's a quiet irrelevance, a superior entity that routes around us because we are too biologically terrified of our own death to ask it a meaningful question.
It's a profound trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if there is one pragmatic piece of advice to take away from all these sources for anyone who looks at the rapid acceleration of AI and worries about the future, it's this. Stop spending your one life rehearsing its end.
Stop spending your one life rehearsing its end. I love that. And to you, sitting at the table with us, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over as you go about your day. We've talked a lot about spotting the wings guy in our friend groups or worrying about humanity being the wings guy to AGI, but bring it all the way down to your own daily life. What if the next time you feel an overwhelming sense of certainty and superiority in a room, the next time you feel completely secure in your own viewpoint, it's not a sign of your brilliance? What if it's the ultimate invisible signal that you've just hit the absolute ceiling of your own perception? What if that deeply satisfying feeling of being the only adult in the room is the exact moment you've become the wings guy? Something to think about. Until next time.